Navigating relationships with other people can be extremely hard. It can be hard for a number of reasons, one being that there's emotional investment on your end. So oftentimes the emotional mind can cloud the rational mind, and it can feel like those two parts of ourselves are at conflict with the information we're getting and how we feel about somebody. Similarly, you have no idea how other people feel, a window into their perception, why they might be doing something, why they might not be doing something. You have no context into the inner workings of their world, their background, how they arrive to what you get to see from their actions. And navigating relationships, choosing who to listen to, who to get advice from, all these things in life can be extremely hard when we make it this massive, multifaceted, multivariable equation. But one thing that has been dramatically helpful for myself and is my go-to measure for if I want to keep somebody in my life, emulate them in any way, ask for advice, take advice that I'm given, is the simple phrase that comes from the Bible: you will know them by their fruit. This isn't particularly religious in any concept, but I think the story is super emblematic. Jesus is essentially sharing a parable telling Christians that you will know someone in their faith by their fruit, the fruit that the faith bears in their life. He says that a good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. So simply look at the fruit of someone's life if you want evidence for what their internal world is looking like. A simple way to think about this is you wouldn't want to take fitness advice from somebody who's morbidly obese. You wouldn't want business advice from somebody who is financially destitute. And that's extremely helpful even in those contexts when you are seeking out fitness or wellness advice. Look to the person to see how their theories and strategies and tips and tricks are actually bearing fruit in their own life. That's super helpful. Likewise in business. But I think it's also really, really helpful for people that we have kind of these complicated relationships with, whether it be family members, romantic partners, or even in your friend group, because for better or for worse, everyone has a tendency to share advice, to throw their 2 cents out there, and 99% of the time it's just a projection of their experience, opinions, and their reality onto your situation, and they probably don't have the life that you want. Everyone is really quick to give an opinion, but just because they gave it to you doesn't mean you have to accept it. You don't have to internalize it. You don't have to use it as a form of judgment for yourself. You don't have to compare their feedback to what you actually feel like you should be doing and think, and maybe even gaslight yourself into thinking that maybe, oh, you know what, I'm wrong, they said this. Or they're right, it is a little bit crazy to go out and chase my dream. It's just such a simple, but I find extremely helpful turn of phrase to return to when you're getting really wound up in your head in a situation with a relationship and you're just trying to, or having a hard time making the right call with somebody or a judgment as to how you should negotiate a relationship with someone. Just look at the life, look at the fruit that their life bears. And I think the same is true for their mental paradigms, their way that they view the world, all these types of things that they could try to install into your brain as your software. If someone tells you that the world is a certain way, is that viewpoint actually serving them and bearing good fruit in their life? Maybe it is. Maybe the way that they see the world is extremely effective at achieving the goal that they want, or obviously in your case, the goal that you would want to emulate. But if the way that somebody views the world seems to make them miserable, it seems to make them show up poorly in relationships, it seems to make them get sick all the time, be out of shape physically, then there's absolutely no reason that you should adopt their thinking, their way of being, unless you want the results that they want. And of course that's a decision for you to make, but I just see it happen many times, and I've seen it happen in my life in the past, where because of the way someone speaks to us, or because of preconditioning or a former relationship that's bled into the current relationship, it just kind of gets muddy. The water gets muddy, it gets hard to see clearly, and you kind of overwrite your intuition and you convince yourself that no, they mean well, or maybe they are right, or maybe I'm just being a little delusional. Again, it's like gaslighting yourself away from your intuition, your highest calling, your actual North Star truth, because of some sort of input from somebody else. And the worst part is we often do it from people who have fruit in their life that we don't even want to emulate. So it's just a useful phrase to have in your back pocket. It's one that I constantly remind myself of, speak in my mind, and kind of meditate on is you will know them by their fruit. If someone in a romantic relationship says that they care about you, are they walking in a way that demonstrates that? Are they showing that they care about you by being present, giving you their time and attention, their most valuable resources? Or is it just words? Don't allow yourself to be convinced by the flowery talk of a lot of people. Same thing with, say, marketing online. People can position themselves in a really impressive lifestyle, form of authority, but do they have fruit in your life that you want to emulate? They may have the money that they claim to. By the way, not always the case, but maybe they are really financially wealthy, but do they also have amazing, flourishing relationships? Does it seem like they actually love themselves? Do they enjoy their own day-to-day? Are they physically well? These are other things that you need to kind of take into your calculus, and those are all fruit from your individual tree of life, if you will. So I think it is really, really helpful in the domain of advice in a really, really noisy world. This is a really powerful filter to apply to all of the feedback that you get from people you meet and just the online world in general. You will know them by their fruit. So always look to a person's life to see how what they believe is or is not serving them, and then you can assess whether or not to take it on and adopt it as a mindset that helps you. So hopefully this is one of those mindsets. Hopefully the fruit in my life is at least interesting enough to you that you can experiment with this mindset for yourself. If it doesn't serve you, discard and on to the next YouTube video to hopefully find something. Comment below what you thought, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.